Hi there, and thank you for tuning into the Social Circus, where every week we dive into a variety of topics covering social media, mindset, and how to run your business. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Social Circus. I am your guest, Sarah Thompson, and this week I am excited to be joined by my dear friend, Michelle Marks. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Sarah.
Lovely to have you here. So Michelle has been a friend of mine for several years, and I've had the pleasure of working with her and her with me. And Michelle, I think I'm going to get you to introduce a little bit about yourself. So your evolution into a business coach has been quite an exciting one. So tell me where you started in life before you were an entrepreneur like us. So what were you doing before that?
I was in school. That's how far back it goes back for me. I think I always wanted to be a business owner. So when I left school, it was like, bam, what can I do? What business can I do? And awesome. I started out as doing landscape photography and writing articles for travel and camping magazines.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then where did that evolve to? Like, what's your journey been to Michelle Marks Business Coach? Tell me a little bit about that, because I did not realize that. I always admire people who dive into being an entrepreneur. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I think it probably came from seeing my mum and dad, because they ran a business as I was growing up, and I just thought that was so cool. But yeah, so I started with the freelance gig, just doing a few articles and travel photos and that sort of thing, because I just loved photography at the time. But at the same time, while I was doing my photography, because I had to edit the images, I played around in Photoshop a lot. Mm-hmm. And when my stepdad introduced me to Photoshop, I'm like, wow. And so I used to design I used to design like mock-up magazine covers. Like this may be showing my age a bit, but I used to mock up Dolly and Girlfriend magazine.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You remember those?
I do.
I remember making mock-ups, pretending that I'm on the cover, and then I'd put my sister on the cover and everything like that. So I got the design bug. And then one day my stepdad said to me, he goes, oh, you could be a graphic designer. That pays pretty well. And from then on, I'm like, could be a graphic designer. And it really just budded from there. So when I was 21, I decided to start freelance graphic design. And that was probably my first official business.
Wow.
And the graphic design, as you know, because before I was coaching, the business I was running was a graphic design business. So as you know, that from when I was 21 starting that, it's just carried with me. Like I do graphic design on and off now and then.
It comes through in everything that you do, because every time I look at things that you've created, I'm like, oh, that looks so beautiful. And then I go, no, she's a graphic designer, it's okay. So we see your magic touch on everything that you do. So in terms of your current journey, let's talk a little bit about your group, Laptops and Lattes, and when did that start?
So that started about 4 years ago, when I was knee deep in design work, and I'm like, I love working from home, but gosh, I just kind of miss adult humans. And so I thought, I'm going to start a Facebook group for other home-based business owners, and then I can connect with them and I can just be around my people. And so I started the Facebook group, but at the same time, I wanted to start doing some like brainstorming sessions and workshops and stuff, because I tell you what, the last employed job that I had, I was working in marketing and PR for a local government. And one of the things I really loved was the community development team would all get together, and we'd bring chocolates and biscuits and have coffee and hot chocolate, and we just sit around the table and we just brainstorm for the next project and plan and strategize and that sort of thing. And that was probably my favorite part about that job. And I'm like, how can I bring that to what I'm doing now? So I was like, let's bring other business owners together and we'll brainstorm stuff. And so that was the birth of my workshops. I just found that while I was in a group, we were brainstorming. I just found that I fell in love with that more than the design.
Oh, and so Michelle Marks, the business coach, was kind of born out of really you leading that group and becoming very clear that you had lots of skills and lots of wisdom to share with other business owners, and particularly our service-based business owners, I think is really your niche, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So the more workshops I was holding, the more I found people were looking to me for guidance. And I've always been a teacher. I've always loved teaching as well. And so I think it just came quite naturally to me that I shifted it from being brainstorming sessions to workshops where I was actually teaching things.
Yes.
And so it was really just such a natural evolution and progression. And
so good.
Now I'm just so in love with coaching.
It's your thing. You found your jam. And I totally
thing.
resonate when you find that thing that you love doing. And I'm like you, I could coach so much because I just enjoy sharing and I enjoy hearing people's stories, and it's so rewarding. But today I brought you in, if I'm honest, with an ulterior motive, because I know that everyone wants to hear your story, and then I'm always fascinated by our journey into entrepreneurship because everyone's is so unique, and I love people introducing themselves with that because it's fascinating what draws us to it. And one of the things I really wanted to talk about today, because I think your wisdom and insight into this is so helpful, is I think you've got a masterclass on this, and I will put that in the show notes if there is a link for people to watch it. But you talk a lot about how businesses grow and different phases of growth, which I'm when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that's what's wrong with you, Sarah. You're not doing this right. I'm like a little runaway train, and I just don't stop until I probably hit a mountain, and then it all derails. Usually straight off the top. So anyway, let's talk.
Picture.
Like a little train. Yes, I can imagine that so describes me. So tell us all about these. I'm describing it really poorly. Please help me. Stages of business growth. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. The stages that we all go through as we're growing our business.
Yes. Yeah. And like ridiculously, because my background's corporate, so you think I'd have lots of knowledge, and I've done lots of study in being, in commerce and business. And yet when I heard you speak about this, I'd never heard it articulated quite so clearly. So if you can walk us through it, I'd love to hear you explain these different stages of business growth and what do they mean?
Yeah, of course. I want to start out by saying that there is no one strategy that works for everybody. Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's got something different to bring, and they've got to find their own strategies that work for them. However, in the many years of business that I've been in, the many business owners I've worked with, both from a brand perspective, a brand strategist, and through coaching, as well as observing myself, observing others, there are certain stages that we go through where our objectives need to change in order to keep the momentum going. So we've identified 5 stages that I'll go through, and your focus can shift, your priorities, I should say, should shift depending on which stage you're at, to help support you both in the stage you're at, but also to help you reach the next stage.
Which is something, when I heard you speak about it, I'd never given that any thought. I just kind of, like I said, I'm that little train that keeps going. And I was like, oh, Sarah, you're not honoring any of this. You're just like right in the immediate moment and what's next. And so I found it very insightful when you shared these 3 stages. So
cool. So do you want me to share each of the stage, what it looks like? And
yes, is that all right? I'd love you to.
Of course. So the 5 stages that consist of the starting phase, emerging stage, established stage, flourishing, and then scaling. So I believe that every business should be aiming towards flourishing, but it's optional whether you want to proceed to scaling. So in the starting phase, it looks like it's a business that has just launched. They've just started. They might be in the first year of their business, and they're just really looking for their first clients. They're just looking to secure their first clients. So the priority at that stage is pretty much just that. It's securing clients, because everything that you do in future stages is reliant upon you having clients and having money in the bank. So if you're in that first starting stage and you don't have many clients yet, that's all you need to focus on, is doing what you need to do to gain those first few clients. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, your business is not going to go anywhere if you don't have clients, first of all.
True.
Secondly, you will master your services based on understanding what your clients need. So if you're not working with clients, you can never understand that. So getting that client work, even if the first few clients that you get have to be free or low cost clients, just to get some experience. Like a lot of business owners can do that. While any of your efforts, like if you're offering services, you should be paid for them. But look, if you have to do 1 or 2 unpaid gigs to get some experience, that's fine, because that experience is it's like an asset in your brain.
And the other thing I always say, if you do unpaid work, which we've all done in those early stages, and I completely agree with you, Mish, that it's about honing our craft in those days. And if you are going to do unpaid work, be really clear on the boundaries on that. And also, also tell them that the caveat is that they have to give you a testimonial as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you're first starting out doesn't mean that you are less valuable. Okay.
Correct.
So don't feel that you have to do free work. But it's an option for you if you need it to get started. But anyway, that's the starting phase. So your focus is just getting clients in the door. That's all you need to worry about. The next stage is the emerging stage. So that is characterized by a business that is already started up, it's already running, and it has a few clients on the books already. So there's a bit of experience that has come with it. Now, what's happening at this stage is we've gained a few clients, but we still need more because we're not anywhere near capacity yet. So the focus here is both to gain new clients, to gain more clients, and also to get used to the workload. Because as you get more clients, your workload increases. As your workload increases, your capacity to work on your business decreases. So what we need to do at this stage is start settling into your routine and just mastering your week-to-week workload, your daily workload, what you have to do. At this point, you probably are recognizing that set processes and systems might be a thing here, because you're doing things over and over again. Like, say, if you're onboarding clients, you're going through the process, you're doing it again, and you're doing it again and again and again. And you're starting to realize that, hey, this is repetitive. It takes me so long to send a proposal, to send a quote, to send an invoice, to onboard this client. How can I make this easier? And
such a good place to think about that. I think I left that way too late.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do that. But if you can start thinking about that, like if you're in the emerging stage and you're wondering, I wonder if this could be easier, then, if you've got the time to figure out how you can make it easier, gosh, your future self will thank you for that.
So true.
Yeah. So in the emerging stage, it's just embracing your new workload, figuring that out, and gaining new clients. Now, the next stage is the established phase. Now, at this point, the established phase is where you're close to or at capacity. And things are getting a little bit crazy. You're really, really busy because you're either at or nearly at capacity, but you're not quite stable yet, because you could have some weeks where you're chock-a-block full, and then the next week you're really quite quiet. And that often, that can happen if, say, your marketing strategy is not in full swing yet, and you're not able to replace clients as quick as, you know, your projects finish, or
yes,
it really depends on what kind of business you have. Some businesses, like virtual assistants, for instance, they are built on like a retainer model where a lot of their clients are long-term ongoing. But say if you're a graphic designer or a copywriter, it's all project work. So you've got to bring new projects in as fast as you finish
to
them.
keep that momentum going.
Yeah. So the established phase is really like, you're getting there. You are really getting into the swing of things, but it's still a little bit wobbly. And the war cry of this phase is that, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, but I can't afford to outsource. I can't afford to streamline. I don't have time for my business. Like, that's the war cry. I need to make changes, but I don't have time. And that's because we're so busy with the client work, but we haven't quite mastered marketing, streamlining, and pricing. So at this stage, we may be really busy, but not earning enough that it can support the building of a team, or the building of software to help us automate things, or the help of a marketing coach like yourself to make things easier.
So, and I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I remember that phase so well in my business. And that's that really big push that I'm doing well and I've got good momentum, but oh my gosh, I'm working hard. And when you just finally tick over to being able to get support, gosh, it makes a big difference.
Oh my goodness, it does. And the one thing I have to note is the established phase is the hardest to get through, because this is the plateau stage, because you're so busy but you don't have time for things, and there are so many mindset blocks that pop up at this stage that you really have to be dedicated and committed to your business in order to push through it, because you've got a lot of blocks to work through. Namely, people will struggle to they'll struggle to outsource because they feel like they should be doing everything in their business and they find it hard to let go, or because they're so busy and they don't have time to outsource, because when they outsource, they have to get things ready in order to outsource to somebody, or they don't have the cash flow to outsource. So things have to change before they can move forward, but they need to move forward in order for things to change. And it's such a difficult phase to get through. So if you're in that phase, I see you, I feel you. Please keep going. And the biggest thing you need to be focusing on at this stage is refining. Refinement leads to alignment. Now, when I talk about refining, it's almost everything. Okay, you're really busy at the moment, so your systems and processes need refining so that they are as streamlined and as automated as they can be. Because if you're busy with your client work, you need things to be running properly so that you're not working all hours in the evening. Your pricing needs to be aligned. So if you're fully booked right now, but you're not earning as much as you need to do, you need to increase your prices. Okay, because it's at this stage where it's probably for the first time in your business that you're having to pay tax. You may need to be registered for GST at this point. So you probably may not be paying yourself super, but you know you should be. And these are all the realizations that happen at this stage, and it becomes really, really hard. So refining your pricing so that you can put your tax away, so that you can start putting your super away, so that you've got profits there that you can outsource to somebody. So refining as well means refining your mindset, working on your mindset, work through those blocks that will be holding you back. So if you're any established stage, your word of the year needs to be refinement.
Oh, so good. So juicy. Oh my gosh. And I'm reliving all of those, remembering how hard that space is and thinking, am I ever going to get there?
Yeah. Thinking back to most of the businesses that I have run and failed, there are some that I quit because I didn't like them, but others I quit because they got too hard. It was because I was in the established phase and it got too hard and I quit. I turned my back on it. And looking back on it now, I was like, I wish I just pushed through. Things would have been so good. But if you can push through, the next phase is beautiful. The next
Yes.
phase is beautiful. So the next phase is phase 4, which is flourishing. And flourishing is basically where business is running well. You are either at capacity or you're at capacity and it's easy for you to fill your clients. So your marketing strategy is working and you can fill spots as fast as they open up. Your business is profitable and sustainable. So you can manage your workload. You're not having to work like ridiculous hours. You can actually stick to your roster, and you're earning enough money that it can support your lifestyle. So your business is profitable. You can pay your taxes, you can pay your GST liabilities, you can pay your super, and you've got excess. You can go on your holidays, you can go on, you can do life basically.
Yay. That's the exciting bit. Yes.
Yeah, so it's great. Now, the thing is, nothing is ever going to be done in your business. So while your marketing strategies will be working, they can still change and adapt, and you can still refine. So in this phase, what you can do is refine your systems, refine your automation. You can maximize your profits, because let's face it, we can always work on our profits, can't we?
100%.
And so team support, boundaries, ideal client, all these things can be refined in this phase to make it even better.
Yeah.
Now, that's a great place to be. It's a really great place to be. You can stay here if you want, because at this point, when your business is working well, maybe you want to step back a little bit and work on some other things in your life. Or maybe you want to keep going and you want to start scaling. Either way, you want profitable and sustainable business.
Definitely.
But if you want to continue to scaling, introducing scalable revenue streams. So this is the phase that I call scaling, is where things are working pretty well, and now you just want to take it to that next level. So perhaps you want to introduce scalable revenue streams so that you can your revenue possibilities are infinite as far as you can see. Or maybe you want to grow, and instead of being like a home-based business, maybe you want to become an agency. Maybe you want to become a small or medium business. It depends on what your goals are as to what the scaling phase looks like for you. But some people just love to be at home. They love to just do what they enjoy, and they don't need, a team of 15. They don't need to be multimillionaire, or it really depends on what it looks like to you.
And that's really interesting. I remember early in my business when I had a business coach very early on, because I believe in that. And they kind of pushed me, because I have got a corporate background, like, would I want to run an agency, like a digital agency? And I kind of had my eye on that, and I went down that path of, I had employees and I had an office for about 2 years, and that was my trajectory. And then I realized I had this really big light bulb moment of like, what am I doing? Like, for a start, my husband wouldn't leave our home office. He just loved it. He's like, I'm not going down to that office. And then I realized I was being so flexible for my staff that it was not working for me. And my goal was really to run a business around my family. And suddenly I wasn't there. And I realized I'd gone off on the wrong tangent. So that point when you get to scaling, and then it took me a long time to kind of realize that scaling digital products was much more aligned with what I wanted. But we can try things out at this point, can't we? We don't have to have all the answers, but working with someone like yourself as a coach, make sure that whatever we're doing is aligned to what our values are underneath that. And I unfortunately got some really bad coaching advice early on, and was quite susceptible to being, because I'm sure as we all could do anything, but that doesn't mean we should.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever it is you want. It doesn't mean you have to do what other people tell you to do. So,
yes.
I'm so glad that you had that realization and shifted, you course corrected.
Yes, I could have. And I was at a function the other night, and I met a couple of ladies who had agencies. One was a marketing, one was a digital. And I had this moment of thinking, would that be my path? And I was like, no, I'm so like my path now. But it's interesting. You sometimes have to dip your toe in to see, don't you?
Yes, you really, really do. And it's like when you're in high school and they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I don't know. Who's supposed supposed to know that? You have to get out in the world before, and have these experiences before you can make those decisions.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I believe that all of your business decisions need to be guided by your own vision, by what it is you want in the future, because that gives you so much more confidence and certainty in the decisions that you make. So when being guided by your vision, just look as far as you can. If that is 6 months from now, fine. If that's 2 years from now, fine. If you know exactly what you want, if you are like, yes, I want an agency, I want a team of amazing staff around me building this empire, if that's what you want, go for it. Yeah. All your decisions can be built on that. And whatever it is that you want, there's nothing wrong with that. That's your dream, and that's where you need to be.
Yeah.
Whether that's being at home doing the work yourself and having that flexibility around family, or whether that is building that huge empire, and anywhere in between. Either any of that is okay, as long as it is true to what you want, not what somebody else wants.
Such sage advice. And it's so I hope that my lovely listeners, you really take on board what Mish said then, because being true to you is so important, but it's really easy to get sidetracked on social media on what other people are doing and thinking that's what you want. And it's actually harder to stay the course. So please take on board Michelle's advice. Now, I feel like, Mish, we could talk all day. I'm going to wrap us up because I want to have you come back and talk other things another time. But I want to just say thank you so much for generously sharing your wisdom and insights. And I know that my listeners have all got something out of that. I've got something out of that. I've relived some of those horrible moments as well in my business journey, going, I'm past that, oh, thank goodness. But I sincerely hope that as my listeners, you found that really useful. You take on board what Mish has said, and I will put some links in the show notes because Michelle's got a couple of great masterclasses. I'm going to put them in there, and I'll link to her lovely group and how you can work with her, because she is an amazing business coach. I have had the privilege of working with her as a client, and I've found that very helpful to get clarity and insight, which is something that is really hard to achieve on your own. So Michelle, thank you again for being a lovely guest on my podcast. I truly appreciate it.
No, thank you, Sarah. It was my privilege to be on your podcast.
Thank you. And thank you again to all my lovely listeners for tuning into the Social Circus. I will catch you the same time next week. Thanks so much for tuning into the Social Circus. As your host, Sarah Thompson, I am thrilled that you've chosen to spend your time hanging out with me. I would be so grateful if you could spare an extra moment to go and leave me a review on your favourite podcasting platform. And if you even felt more excited, you could share my podcast with your friends who you think would get great value from it. Thanks so much again for tuning in.